outside? Let me open the door, let you outside. Wanna go see our buddy? Wanna open the door? Yeah? Want me to open the door? I gotta go pick up some bananas. I'm trying to wait. It says it's out for delivery. Want to show your nuts. Don't jump up on the gun. You hit me in the head this morning. He is laying on my books. Our books. Yes. Yes, you are. Seriously, he is laying on our books. Oh my man. He is laying on the books. You can't make that up. What's up, Papa? That's my boy. Yeah, I'm making a stew now. I know you want some. All right, let me get this out of the way first. You know, it amazes me that my boy Angel, he's moved up in Oregon from Cali, right? And he was talking about that dude Howard. Well, I don't like talking about people who's doing things on YouTube. I really don't, except for the ones that I spoke on. Okay, but the guy is good. You know, he messed with some girl, some oracle. She calls it an oracle, and then you have the young elder. I guess some people follow him. I don't know. I don't care if people out there talking positive about who we are. If they want to use the term more, whatever, man. I am so over that because I've always been without complication or complexities. In order to walk into a room, you must, if it's a all white party, you must wear all white. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's who you are. So I've moved amongst the Moorish people, never identifying as one, never out my mouth in objection, yet respectfully, because law school, because they talk law. The thing is, how they applied it is where I deferred at. But whatever people are doing on here, except for the ones I spoke on, just everything, believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Because there's something beyond that. All right. So if you're more a Christian or a Muslim, whatever, and you fit the diatribe of what I'm going to speak on here and why it's so easy to manipulate. People believed in the moon landing, but at that time, NASA, which is Nasab, which means to deceive, it has come out clearly that there's no way in the world. I mean, things got lost, how to be able to get there. Nixon talking on a rotary phone. I'm not going to go through the whole diatribe. Them emitting it. Every map is a composite. Listen, at that time, when these Zionists with Nassau, to the deception, were created meth, created meth, extracted a stronger repurpose of cocaine, and a stronger purpose of heroin, to name just a few drugs. And you got to remember, MK Ultra it worked. That's when they perfected it. Who they use? Of course, they were running around spraying East and West Coast and putting stuff in the water. This is all right in front of you. And people want to hold on to religious ideologies. And I do. I surf the tube. Certain platforms using keywords, black, blah, blah, blah. And I am not amazed at all, no more, at how unresourceful so many people are. It's amazing. It's amazing how well this stuff works. They have jacked up all the food and nobody's screaming nothing, but you got goofy Antifa running around wanting to create havoc and push agendas that have nothing to do with reality of life. They're willing to subjugate themselves trilaterally to education, the system, and fake government, even as staunchly being against it all, but consummating a relationship with it. And then our people, whenever I see and I see more of our women out there, except for the knuckleheads who want to break into stuff, but our women are really behind a lot of this perversion. There is a group of gay men and gay women who stand firmly against all this that is going on. The comedian Flame Monroe, he's not with it, excuse me. You know, I listen to these people because, you know, we can't shoot the message. All right? The messenger people shoot all the time, so they never receive the message. I listen. When people say, check this out, Red, I know how you feel. And I'm like, well, I'll look at it. I have a gander. And sure enough, I'm sitting there going, wow, I would have never thought. It's not my place. I'm not drama filled. So government, let's get into it, right? Government. First of all, let's get into the mint. Mint has to do with the mind. From Old Catalan mint, from Latin mentum, mind, from Proto-Indo-European mentis, a thought. So gov, to govern, what is government? Gov is from the Greek word. It means to steer. To govern means to steer. In a manner of speaking, a person who governs something guides its course or direction. Govern is a synonym of words such as rule, command, or lead. People believe it means to lead, right? But you see what they're doing, executive orders and all that stuff, okay? You see what's going on? Hey, let's get them likes up, man. We got beautiful people in here, 3 and we got 2. I need this to beat the algorithms. It's real. And some of the YouTube channels I look at and the subscribers and I'm sitting there going, how? And nobody's giving anything worth anything that can guide or move people phonetically in life. I hope I'm doing that for you, even by reading books. Another way to look at things. Believe half of what I see. Believe half of what I say. All right. And definitely none of what you see. All right. Trust me on that. You've got to research things for yourself, and you can never really know me. So, what is the Greek meaning of government? The word government is ultimately derived from the Greek karbeton, which means to steer, and typically the government refers to the executive function of the state. And what is that? The exercise of political authority over the actions, listen to this, the exercise of political authority over the actions, affairs, and every other partition you can think of a political unit, the people. So does that mean that the government works for you or you work for the government? It says to exercise the exercise of political authority. When did political prowess become authoritarian over the actions? Don't we deem what the actions should be? We have not been. They're talking about the jobs are up by 230-something thousand, right? Excuse me, part-time laborers. The majority of people have lost jobs. And nobody's rebounded, though we have many more millionaires. Nobody's paying attention to these things because everybody wants to be rah, 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 rah. The government is a fraud, y'all. Let me put this up. All right, where does the word government derive from in Greek? Well, a lot of people don't want to get it when it says to steer, to control, to whatever, right? It is in the metaphor found at 4088a and 489d. Plato Socrates compares the population at large to a strong but nearsighted ship owner. A strong but nearsighted ship owner whose knowledge of seafaring is lacking. The quarreling sailors are demagogues and politicians. The quarreling sailors are demagogues and politicians. Demagogues and politicians. And the ship's navigator, a stargazer, is the philosopher. Where are the people? I am so done with everybody. I hit the liberals in the head because when you're melanated and you're voting for that, I'm done with you. We got so-called Latino and Spanish people who they believe they're actually indigenous to this land. Talking about when they came here and conquered us, No, fool. Stop. No, you have some indigenous or aboriginal bloodline, but no. No. The world was one. We all moved as one, but no, you're a new existence. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. Stop. Your kindred, your family, but stop. You know, when I was in Mexico, I used to look at the TV and watch TV with my boy. And I was like, why they got all these pale ass Mexicans always representing people on the TV? And every time I see something about a dark skinned and melanated person, it's something bad. That is programming. That is MK Ultra. It's been applied everywhere. Every government is in suit with each other, regardless of what is happening. People on this land running around, bell stand with straight hair, talking about, I'm a Native American. Yeah, you are born here, maybe, but you're not of origin on this soil. It matters not what you think nor believe. Who stands with you on the bandwagon lyre? I am not dismissing you what I am saying because y'all are provocateurs in your own institutionalization of stupidity and ignorance. There are way more in the last, since 1970? Iron Eyes Cody, the Sicilian. Burt Lancaster, I can name a plethora of actors who played Engine. And the first 20 or 30 years, it was us. It wasn't you. Not until goddamn Dances with Wolves came out and Which Called of Our Fathers. Then you became something of a cast. And even with that, with all the new fraudulent pictures, George Orwell and all the ones that were repainted, which the original one's still there. I've showed well over 40. I have to say this because the government needs people divided and they want you to be stuck believing in a lie they have scripted you in. You think they're going to have the truth when they're living up, when you're living a lie? You don't see the importance of the original people belonging to the land. And therefore you're going to suffer and you're going to remain sick. You're going to remain in turmoil, death and everything else, hyped up on a false narrative to make you feel, and all it takes is one generation. Those Tartarian buildings they called asylums, and then they built those little steadfast boarding schools, and the original one was in Key West, or was it Key West? Or anyway, it was in Florida. The original one, the first one, the test bed. When the Seminoles ended up going to Mexico, border town, certain ones. We didn't have no slaves. The only immigration that came here, the millions and millions and millions, before and during and after the World's Fair, especially in the 1920s and 40s, up to the 50s, were nothing but pale skins with a straggling few Negroes. That's when y'all all came. By bequeath you to know by those who knew the truth of the earth after whatever reset, mud flood, whatever. And our hands stayed dirty picking it all up. But they won't show you those pictures they exist. And y'all just can't sit down and calm yourselves for a minute. Because people are emotional in their feelings. Well, y'all love your government. It's funny how the democratic society became republics. It was never a democracy here. It was the republic. We created the Constitution. They made amendments. That's what they're still doing now. They don't respect it. That's why they know that they're not under it. It belongs to us. And then what did the Dems do? And that's why when you vote for them, all you people running over to Ukraine, well, fuck Ukraine. Matter of fact, fuck Russia. I don't mean that about the people that I've known, but I'm talking about the governments and the people who are sick because of the governments, willing to sit there and die. Some people said some goofy something about that war is not real. They're fighting over there. People losing their lives, you retarded, dumb, knucklehead. Just like in a whole lot of other places you never hit. They've been fighting over in Africa since. And who allows it? It amazes me. And we have the same engines over here, the idiots in high places. Hey, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in a live. I'm doing a live right now. Okay. I'll call you right back, all right? Yeah, all right. All right, cool. Yeah, that's Lana. That was my first love, and we're very good friends. She lives in Florida. Not too far from my son and my daughter. It's really good people. But back to what I was saying. My original, when I was like 17, 16, anyway, whatever. It amazes me how easily people want to run to the enemy, and they want to fight and fight and fight, and they don't even know why they're fighting. They really believe they know why they're fighting. I can never make sense of it. Even when I was part of that entourage of war, we're the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Never did like fighting. Regardless of how much I trained and the fights I've been, all that nonsense. Sometimes, I never was somebody to bully anybody. I never would go looking for a fight. But whenever it came to me, I would involve myself in a very, very sadistic way. They always say, be careful of what you ask for, right? And that's why I made it my purpose, but not of my life. I made it my purpose that if you came at me with your little foolishness, I was going to give everything I had, even if it was my last breath. No, you don't want to. He's laying beside me now. He didn't want to lay on the books no more. Alexander, you want to say hi, Papa? Okay. Let's get into reading. I just wanted to go ahead and touch on that because I'm seeing so many. Stop grabbing the remote, cuz. I see so many people buying into politics. I don't get the politicking, and then people don't even want to study the origin of it or what it really means, and then go beyond that. So there's more to it beyond that. I just wanted to broach upon that. People want to go, oh man, the same old thing over and over. I'm watching people who have been doing it for 6 or 7 years now, doing the same dumb shit. Stuck on Facebook. I even had somebody ask me, I thought you wasn't on Facebook. What does it matter? I'm not. The metaverse, Instagram, all of it's connected. Go ahead and attempt to get rid of your Facebook account. Well, you know what? I did. But through Instagram, I saw them still there. And I was like, wait a minute. Now, the funny thing is, I really can't go on my page. But I can go and read all y'all's. I don't even do that. Read all the people's crap. Nope. I'm like, it looks a little different. Facebook Lite or something. But I'm like, all 3 accounts are there. I don't care. I really don't. And when you see me on here, it's because I'm loading stuff and I'm doing a live. Other than that, I'll watch some things, play music most of the time. This stuff, you gotta let it go. You have to let this crap go, y'all. I know you're gonna have the people sit there, yeah, but it's a good way, we can connect and all the information. Everything is manipulated. Everything is weaponized against you. Because they're sociopaths, psychotic, neurotic. Do you want to be a sociopath, psychotic, and neurotic as well? Stuck somewhere where everything is meaningless? I'm not doing he's looking for the lights that come off the screen that he chases them around the roof and the wall. Yeah. Take it easy, buddy. You're acting like a crackhead. Mm-hmm. But let me go ahead and get into reading, all right? My apologies again for not coming on, but I was talking to somebody for a while. I did it. I loaded a video to express it to you guys for like 2 hours or some odd minutes. Like just, I was tired. I was like, all right. I finally just said, you know what? Hey, look, I'm tired. I'm about to go to bed. We ain't really saying anything. Stop doing that. Will you stop being so mediocre right now and be 100? Anyway, this is again Terra Infinita, Extraterrestrial Worlds and Their Civilizations, the story told by the woman who was born in the lands behind the ice walls. And I had 2 glasses of wine too. You know, I was like, dude. I look, bro, 2 hours, man. I mean, if you were a female, it's different. But you're worrying about things that don't even worry for themselves, man. You know, I'd let it go. Don't worry about that. If she's doing this, change direction, focus. I'm not a therapist, people, but I will speak on some things. If you ever see a woman with a ring finger longer than a pointer, she a dude. I don't care what you believe. Remember that. You see that right there? I wanted to help people out because we got these neighborhoods, man. They stuck on this Hollywood woman in the male, and that's all you got to see. Ma'am, hold your hand up straight. They can't do that either because if you're leaning that way, the pinky just won't ride over. Trust me. Straight up. The ring finger on a man is longer than the pointer. The pointer on a woman is longer than the ring finger. That's why we put a ring on it, to hold them short and keep them locked in, which is not supposed to happen anyway. Anyway, this is Nos Confoundum by, again, Claudio Nocelli. Chapter 23, Humans, Giants, Humans, Giants, and Custodians, the Great War of the Last Reset. This is going to be a good one. We finished off, the Giants only show their greatness by staying hidden so as not to generate more harm to the current human being. Since in the past, everything has gone wrong, and for that, you are paying a very high price. Could we say human? Anything that has manipulated or changed our DNA, I was about to say the medical term, we're kind of the hue of originally what we were. But then again, we have something in us. It's internal. So what does that make us? The Great War started so fast that there was not even time to understand what was happening. The custodians attacked the big cities, as they always do. They go directly to the central power to weaken everything from its core. The Giants warned in their visit to the humans that the custodians had the plan to contaminate the air that was breathed here in this world's surroundings. It was already known about other continents beyond the domes, but not in great detail. Neither was it certainly known about the custodials' greed and hostility. All this knowledge that we acquired with time and the help of the Giants was largely drawn from the information the custodians had prior to the Great War. Another inferior race was in control of these lands, and this was used to develop all the potential we could reach in the shortest possible time. Incredibly organized plans were carried out. Everything worked like a great clock. I want to show you all this. And the advance of the Great Tardy was not done overnight, but neither was it long in terms of time in these beautiful but terrible lands. The walls did not exist back then. The continents were different, although they did not change by much. They manipulated their lands, their climate, their environment totally in the new beginning. They were never going to admit that they came close to losing their best colony, let alone in the hands of the giant barbarians, as they call them, and the humans they really detest. This is a ancient sketch of ancient map depicting the known lands before the last reset. So you get to have an idea of what our lands look like right here, Terra Infinita. And this is kind of like the maps that I showed that are real. So that's why I'm reading this book. And even the maps today are false. Why would they want you to know how close we really all are? When I told people Alaska was only 55 miles from Russia, everybody was going, what you talking about? I was like, wow, y'all don't pay attention to nothing. I don't get y'all. Alaska is only 55 miles, that so-called big ocean, from Russia. Chapter 24, the destruction of the great cities, the fall of an empire. The great cities were invaded by black smoke. The giants brought technology and taught the humans in Tartary. The level of technology that was used at that time had never reached the hands of humans. It was a difficult process, but they were achieving really great things. Just the Great War came by surprise. Although they expected it, they did not think it would come so fast. Then came the Great Flood and different attacks. There came a time when we knew that all was lost. So the flood, not that long ago, people. I've been saying that. It's happened a few times. The custodians were weakened, and those in power, the Greys who were their lackeys, could not cope with the power of the Anakin. The Anakin. Anakin Skywalker? Does it ring a bell? The giants who helped the humans with their technology, all right, listen, could not cope with the power of the Anakin. The giants who helped the humans with their technology. Those who they were, the giants, Anakin. There are several races of giants, and not all of them joined in this war. In fact, many of them split later because they did not agree to help. They saw it as a certain defeat. At that time, the hope of being able to defeat them was latent, and that filled the spirit of any person who lived on this soil. The feeling that generates to finally be free is priceless, and sometimes the dimension of what is taking place is not taken into account. That war was the cruelest that has happened here. It also brought with it a great retaliation and a reset and a different beginning. What is being carried out at this moment, the system that oppresses you and turns you into a robot with mere biological functions, the spiritual emptying, how your mind is controlled, which does not stop for a second to give you messages and messages so that you cannot enjoy the present. All this is a product of that custodial fear of losing your best colony. Unfortunately, the ancestors carry that, and the giants too. For that, and for many other reasons, different plans are being carried out to free you and end once and for all this macabre system under which you live. Many will ask, how is it that we can give all this valuable, and at the same time dangerous information if it falls into the wrong hands? Question, right? Your answer is that we can give this kind of information because the majority simply will not believe it. And what we say here today will be forgotten by the majority tomorrow. It is like when someone has some kind of different experience with whatever race, or for example, the story about my father and the lands where I was born. But it is different if the government of this world, with all the mass broadcasting apparatuses, tell a lie. For example, that the sky you see every day is pink. Then many will come out to repeat it, and even fight to death with anyone who says that the sky does not have that color. Even more, if important, scientists who have graduated from distinguished universities come out to say that anyone who argues that the sky is pink will be labeled as ignorant forever and possibly affect him all his life. Then you already have two things against you: the immense power of the word of the great media that are controlled and that enter every home around the world, and also you have the word of confidence in quotation marks of the great scientists of the best universities that will give the necessary, necessary strength to submerge the majority to a lie that will be taken as absolute truth. Soon, nobody will even discuss about this subject for fear of being cataloged as ignorant or crazy. Some will not even want to look at the sky for fear that their own mind will tell them that it does not have the color that they say. A few others will fight against this lie without caring what they are told, or that they will be ostracized from many places, or they will not even be allowed to talk about this subject with a simple censorship. This is nothing new to you. Look around you right now. This is what is happening. If you do not do or say what they impose, or simply what the media reports, or what the distinguished expose, then you will be labeled as someone who is on the opposite side of progress, advancements, or development of humanity. In parentheses, it says with many quotation marks, and Possibly you will be ridiculed, attacked, sidelined, branded as a traitor, or many other things. This is certainly unfair, ye. Unfair. And the shadow controlling parasites who want total human degradation in conjunction with spiritual hollowing out can label another with their great means of influence and coercion and thereby destroy them completely. That is why we keep coming back to these lands and will continue to be here to fight against this dangerous conditioning they exert. So we're going to chapter 25. We're going to get us one a rest. Chapter 25, the last resets in the known lands. The previous reset has been the cruelest of all because they were close to losing control. It could not have been otherwise. It is even said that there were periods where humans and giants were controlling the situation. But once the four great sinners fell, the millions of deaths left by the war, it was difficult to recover. We all knew at one point that we had been defeated. My mother has told me so many times this story, which in turn was told by her mother. I already repeated by heart. She was only a newborn. Do you understand? They lived in a prosperous world and suddenly all their dreams were trampled. Many found loved ones who had died next door. Their houses were on fire or had disappeared. They used technology. They used technology that you would not understand. They could even petrify beings. They had already done it in the past. They had to see themselves in a really desperate situation to do that. When all was lost, the great flood began. It is known here the mud flood. In reality, this happened in different forms, but it dragged everything in its path. It was something of colossal dimensions. Many of the humans that grew up after the last reset used vestiges of these monuments or buildings. Even some had withstood the war and the flood quite well. They were resistant to ancestral technology. They were prepared for everything. That is why you will notice that many images of the past do not match the reality that people lived. In the difference in technology and architecture, they mix the history in such a way that it is difficult for you to understand it completely. But at least you will have an idea of how the whole process was taking place. The resets with some difference that existed, at least the one I know of. Excuse me. Are almost always carried out in the same way. They put a limit of years for the race they are controlling to develop and reach. That's why I keep telling y'all, stop getting these babies these goddamn inoculations. A point of knowledge and technology. They will always try to manipulate reality to reach that point as slow as possible. They take it really as a game. Basically, they will try to pause your spiritual growth and the truth about your origin and your world environment where you are. Clearly, they will never make themselves known, nor will you have any kind of contact with them, but you will be able to find them in history in several possible ways and forms. When a reset takes place, let's call it natural, considering that the previously established limit of years was reached, they will make everyone over 7 months of age die. This can also be decided in advance, or it will simply be thought of at that moment in meetings of the parasitic dome. The flood that my parents and grandparents and all that generation suffered was the same that would have happened in case we had reached the limit of years of development. Only that they initiated this in an urgent way because of the war that had been unleashed. The last reset in these lands did not reach the time limit that they had established for our development. But we were not far away either. If we consider that when the giants visited and joined us in these lands, they started to educate us about the lands and the lives behind this world environment. We started to learn too many things that they considered dangerous. Not to make this answer so long, your babies of 7 months or less than that will be left alive. And in parentheses, not all they will decide depending on many factors. Not all. And those above that age will be killed or die in catastrophes of different kinds. This world environment is justly manipulated in its entirety by them. Imagine you live inside a greenhouse. You can understand it that way. You can make it bloom or poison it from one day to the next, or even slowly. So, what story sounds a little real compared to what you've heard? Look at the monsoon or whatever that is over California. Look at what happened in Boston and Hawaii and the things you haven't heard about because you don't know the look because the media's not saying nothing. You ain't see what's going on over there in California with the flooding and all that? Man. How the lakes all of a sudden seem like they dried up. Now all of a sudden they full again. Oh, there's other things. Tornadoes happening in the Carolinas and certain places. I remember a tornado happening in Jersey when we was like, what? I went outside and stood in the middle of the street and looked at it. Oh, it was far off. And it died down. It never came nowhere close. If it had got a hold of that lake over there, man, I'd have been somewhere else, either tore up or sitting pretty in the bush. I'm just saying. And nobody's paying attention to none of this. Because what is it? What's the distraction? 20 years of war and leave everything? They're taking all your little rights that are inalienable, but you don't really know the truth to the history? Ukraine and Russia, China, North Korea, missile tests, this, that, and the other. UFOs all over the place. But you don't see the triangle ones no more, do you? All you see is the little spherical round ones. The moon in a different position. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You feel me? I'm just putting it out there. I don't know. All right, this is the Heaven Bearers, the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood. Janine Helen. That's her in South Africa. That is her. As far as what the book says. He's over here pretty far. Okay. Okay, yeah. There we go. All right, this is where we're at. Bonnie. Phoenicians have abilities. We're going to pick up from where we left off on. Bonnie. Phoenicians have abilities. We can heal. We are strong and fast. And we can sense things. Like if you are lying by the way of the body reacts. If you are lying by the way of the body reacts. But we can't levitate things. Abilities are not powers. I don't even think heaven bearers can do what you just did. He runs his hand through his hair out of frustration. He doesn't want to accept her explanation. And he can feel the hair on his neck stand up. He is here. His eyes flash purple, and he knows he needs to protect her. Run! He shouts and postures his body ready for a confrontation. Her legs start moving before her brain understands his command, and she doesn't look back. Malcolm, my boy, you didn't mention that was your wife. Pretty girl, I have to admit, and pregnant. I guess congratulations are in order. He is angry and sarcastic, and Malcolm knows there is no way he is getting out of this situation alive. I had heard about a special bloodline, and I assumed it was hers, but she proved to be useless, no powers whatsoever. It clearly wasn't her bloodline, but his, and passed down to the girl through the sister. Azrael is talking to himself and carefully piecing the story together in his head. Who exactly is she supposed to be? Malcolm snaps at him and is surprised by how he is reacting. He wants to keep Azrael away from her as long as he can, so that she has a proper chance to run as far away as she can. I hope you are running, Bonnie, he thinks to himself and takes a step closer towards Azrael. Queen Ariel. He hisses in his creature voice and licks his lips viciously. His face starts to twitch awkwardly, and he has to adjust himself in his host's body. Zombie raccoon, zombie deer, zombie dog, zombie cats. Oh, it's a little dragon worm, right? Okay. These Tartarians sure like to fight back, he chuckles. And for the first time, Malcolm feels uncomfortable around him. King Finn is still there, unlike the general. He never admitted defeat, and for the last 17 years, he has been fighting Azrael, trying to regain control of his body. Your wife is the niece of the beloved king. I thought she died in the mud flood. At least that is what I was told. The rest of her family did. Well, except for the father. I took care of him myself. He laughs and fills his face as if to make sure it is fitting correctly over his enlarged and scaly head. This body can sense her. In fact, it sensed who she was before I did. He finally replies. A man suddenly appears out of nowhere, and Malcolm can smell old rags, and he noticed that his eyes don't suit his head. They are too small. He glances down at his shoes, and they are shiny black leather shoes. They are so shiny that he can almost see his reflection in them. And he knows then that he is the same man Bonnie had described to him earlier. The one in the basement when she was down there going through all the stuff about the staff in the picture. The man with the top hat, he mutters and he shakes his head in disbelief. You knew who she was for months and had her followed? I suspected I knew who she was. This is addressing Azrael. Malcolm is. This is Azrael speaking. I had to be sure, so yes. I had her followed. It is my right, after all. Or have you forgotten who I am, Malcolm? He is starting to lose his temper. I want that girl, Malcolm. I want her dead. He hisses at him, and his saliva sprays out of his mouth. No, Malcolm. He shouts back at him and swallows hard. Azrael could walk up to him and kill him within a split second, and with one swift movement. But Malcolm has to stand his ground for her and for his babies. Not yet. I want those babies, he replies and tries to downplay the fact that he cares for her. Babies? Azrael's interest is piqued. That is not possible. I have never heard about them having twins. Are you sure? I hear 2 heartbeats. His face is stern. He didn't want him to know, but he knows he doesn't have the strength to lie to this time. He also knows the news will distract him, which will give Bonnie more time to get away. This is very interesting, Azrael says. But still, they are just humans. I'm willing to sacrifice them. He leans over to the man by his side. Find her. He barks and relishes the thought of her dying. The man immediately nods in acknowledgement, and Malcolm can see he is going to enjoy killing her, just as much as Azrael will enjoy hearing about her death. Now, where did she go? He asks nicely and tries to read Malcolm's thoughts, but they are blank. Malcolm nods and looks in the opposite direction that she went. Back to the hotel, perhaps? Or to the train station? I am not sure. He looks Azrael dead in the eye and can sense that he believes him, and this astounds him. Right, well, you go back to your duties, and I will handle the girl. You can find another wife. You have already done it twice. He mocks him and walks away into the shadows, and Malcolm loses sight of him completely. Bonnie runs as fast as her legs can take her. She takes long, deep breaths and holds her stomach as she runs down the long, open street. She is almost 6 months pregnant. A little butterball there. Keg barrel. And she can feel she is getting tired. Come on, babies, don't give up on me now. We have made it this far. She still seems to be under the impression that the babies are the ones giving her the powers, and not that it is in her bloodline. She has no idea who she really is. She sees lights in the far distance and knows this is where she needs to head. She can feel a rush of warmth flow over her body, and it gives her the strength to keep going. She runs for another couple of minutes and smells the air turning musty and damp. It reminds her of old linen that has been sitting in a cupboard for far too long, and she knows he is here. She stops and looks around, turning around in a full circle. The sweat is running down her face, and her heart is thumping hard in her chest. She slows her breathing down and lets her eyes search for him. The smell is getting stronger, which means he must be close. He is hunting her, and she is terrified. He can smell her fear in every drop of sweat. that runs down her face and arms, and she can't wait to taste it. And he can't wait to taste it, excuse me. We'll take the next part up tomorrow. I know y'all going, this motherfucker got me. Hold on, no you don't. Well, come back. Matter of fact, have your cheering and some relatives. If you're not alone, I expect most people here to be kind of alone. Not all. And if you are, that's a bag and a cup. Pour the water. That's tea. Exposing the Expositions, 1851-1915. Revised, 2021. Howdy Mikowski. You're all right, buddy. I just tapped the pin. He's laying right. Right? What makes a cat do that, right? I open the door, he'll go outside and come right back in. He doesn't run off or none of that no more. I didn't train him. He just knows. Anyway, let's go here. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Columbia. In the middle of the great court, this is Chicago, was a 65-foot tall statue of the Republic. See image on cover of page 9. Actually, it's on the very front of the book. He's not going to make the statement of how they changed it. Anyway, I know he's not going to say it, but we'll see. It was given the nickname the Golden Lady. Most believe it was covered with gold leaf, but some speculate it might have been made out of solid gold, made by Daniel French, who used Edith Stokes as his model. The statue stood at the casino end of the Great Basin, looking towards the administration building. The statue's right hand held an orb, while an eagle with wings spread, Horus, in parentheses, perched on it. The other hand held a staff with a winding encircling laurel wreath. The original gold did not appear on any of the exposed skin of the statue, in parentheses, head, neck, and arms. The statue survived 2 of the fires at the fair, but not the third in 1896. A third-size replica was made in 1918 out of bronze and can be found today in Jackson Park. Check it out. This new small version is completely gilded, thus no exposed non-golden skin, and the Farragon cap is not on top of the staff, but draped over it. Why did they not want to make an exact replica is beyond me. I think many people today are fooled thinking the current statue is the original from the fair. What did the original Golden Lady represent? The Statue of the Republic was a statue of Columbia, of ISIS, and the Statue of Liberty all in one. Who was Columbia? The exposition went by the name Columbian. The name is presented as a way to honor Christopher Columbus, the explorer. However, the name was not the Columbus Exposition, but the Columbian Exposition. The word Columbia is claimed to have derived in the 1700s out of the Christopher Columbus, adding an IA to the N. Yeah, Columbia, because it was Columb. The word has appeared all over the U.S. The capital of the country is in the District of Columbia, in parentheses, which is not a state and technically not in the U.S. And again, the District of Columbia, the U.S., which is not a state and technically not in the U.S. We also have Columbia University and the Columbia River. Columbia is not an explorer. She is a mythical female figure wearing an American flag and a Phrygian, I had to remember, cap, which signified freedom and the pursuit of liberty. She is the American version of ISIS. Columbia is the personification of the United States, and the name which is not in this land. I don't know why he doesn't say America, but to each his own, because it's named after us. And the name has occasionally been proposed as an alternative word for American. Why would you need alternative, right? Hence, Columbian Exposition can mean American Exposition or the Exposition exposition of the mystical figure of the Americas. A related controversial idea is that the Statue of Liberty in New York has always been in the United States, where it is placed today, on so named Liberty Island, and it has been here forever. She sits on top of a giant, very weathered square base, which sits inside of a star fort. Have y'all looked into star forts as I stated? They are everywhere. I visited three of them. Well, four. One in Florida, Key West, I believe. One in the Carolinas, one in England, and one in Scotland. I was taken to that one. Okay. Has always been in the United States, where it's placed today on the so named island. On so named Liberty Island. Okay. Expedition. Starford. The Statue of Liberty was originally perceived as the personification of Columbia as Lady Liberty. One, I just throw this out there to show how the female statue of Columbia was well seen around the U.S. in case there is any question that the Statue of Liberty is Columbia. Look at the start of any Columbia motion picture. The statue is right in the center with only the word Columbia. Have y'all paid attention to that? In parentheses, not Columbia Pictures. And then there is a zoom in to the light of the torch. The Statue of Liberty is a statue of Columbia, and the statue of the Chicago World Exhibition is Columbia. In 1863, a female statue of Freedom was placed atop the United States Capitol building. A similar statue was placed above the Memorial Hall at the 1876 Philadelphia exhibition. And yes, the giant golden female statue at the Chicago Exposition in 1893 was fully known by the patrons, though called officially the Statue of the Republic in parentheses. To be Columbia, wow, by keeping that in mind, more of what was going on here may reveal itself. Manufacturing and liberal arts building. They couldn't build that in 4 or 5 years. Anyway, while there is lots to explore and present on this fair, we should begin with what hits most in the photographs. The giant gleaming white buildings. I will not provide the detail of every building and area of the exposition. There are many books that do just that. But I will give a basic overview and some of the elements that cause us to ask further questions. So big was the fair, doctors actually gave advice to people as to how to attend it. Dr. Hillmental suggested, come to the fair early, avoid exposure to the sun, keep quiet during the heat of the day, and on hot days explore only a limited area. Don't loiter or saunter, but move rapidly from point to point. When examining an exhibit, stand still and take it in with the eyes and not with the feet. For nothing is more fatiguing than the constant shifting of the body's weight from one foot to the other. There were 14 great buildings, mostly surrounding, that was the end of his communique. There were 14 great buildings, mostly surrounding a giant lake. This area was known as the Court of Honor. It was simply breathtaking. At one end was a colonnade known as the Peristyle. 3 fountains were at the other end, presenting the ships of Columbus. The most magnificent was the Manufacturers and Liberal Arts Building. In parentheses, it says, see the above photo. The Chicago Tribune remarked in 1893, without underrating the vast treasures of human industry and art that are collected at Jackson Park. Wow, Jackson Park. The buildings themselves are the greatest attraction. For vast extent, boldness of conception, wonderful engineering, faultless proportions, and impressive grandeur, the Manufacturers Building is easily the greatest of them all. It was not just the biggest building at the fair, but the biggest at the time on the earth. It was 1,650 feet long. In parentheses, it says almost 6 football fields. Dude, that's like 2 carriers. Okay, and and covered 30 acres. At the center, it rose to a height of 200 feet, half the height of the Great Pyramid. The roof was supported on gigantic steel trusses, which spanned the entire width. 8 domes were found on either side of 80 feet high entranceways, and externals of the building were in the Corinthian style of architecture, with many columns and arches. It was ornamented with female statues to symbolize the arts and sciences. There were 4 entrances, each being 10 feet wide and 80 feet high, and on top was an 18-foot tall eagle. 18 foot. Outside, the building was lit by 10,000 electric lights. Y'all got to look at those pictures when the city is lit up all over this country. Lights suggested by some to be more than existed in all New York City at the time. Chicagoology claimed the building was 4 times as large as the Roman Colosseum, which, in parentheses, which seated 80,000 people. And at the opening ceremony in 1892, a concert was held, and 100,000 people were easily accommodated. In fact, organizers speculated that they could fit 300,000 people into the building. Grasp your head around the size of that. There's nothing that big, people. Nothing. The Rose Bowl in Pasadena today holds 100,000 people for football games. Yet this temporary building of wood, iron, and plaster staff could hold 3 Rose Bowl crowds at once. In parentheses, image of the 1892 ceremonial opening, as well as other photos for this building, can be found at https://chicagoology, CHICAGOLOGY.com/Columbia, COLUMBIA expo continual /fair 010 /. Pretty freaking awesome. And this is the building right here. That's an actual photo, people. See how clear that is? Tartary. What, Papa? Come back 2 hours. I gotta go to get these bananas. I gotta have my bananas, people. Otherwise, you saw me eating one, but I ain't got none. Turn my salmon stew down with corn, lentils, and all that good stuff, quinoa, and we'll get right into that because I want to read that, the Giants, Enoch, and America. All right. So I appreciate everybody that came in, and we'll give shout outs, and we're gonna close it down. Grand Elevations, bro. Yeah, you already know, Rondo. Grand Elevations family. HER was cracking. Angel Flores, what's good? What's good? That's the brother, y'all. Hey, Mama Red, what's cracking? Bro, when I was on yesterday, it would not let me like the video. What? You can like it now. It should be uploaded, hon. That's weird. So just to make sure I wasn't tripping, I pressed the dislike and then made it a like. That was when it recorded for me to like. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Well, anyway, let me get off of here. You already know what it is, love, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get out here, dude, because this package might be coming, and I want to get out and get back and put on. I'm wearing a red today, y'all. I'm breaking it down. I got like 5 pair of red Nikes. About 3 white Timbos, all kind of shit. I need to go ahead. I could sell every one of these and get about $2,000 easily. Not. Especially these old ones I got. Boy, these mine old as hell. Look brand new still. But I'm going to shut it down. I'll catch y'all 2 hours because I got to eat. I need my bananas, y'all.